Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3. Here. J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4. Here. Constitutes
That
a
one
quorum.
didn't sound as, that one did not
quite as
sound
close.
as close as the other one. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Reverend Derek Rowden, single adult minister at North Richland Hills Baptist Church. Thank you for coming out today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Father in heaven, grateful for this time together. Lord, you have blessed us richly in this county, this community. Lord, and we anticipate greatly ongoing improvements, opportunities, and progress. Pray for improvements in every sector of society, Lord, whether it's education, commerce, safety, recreation, all of it, God. We'd love to see a growing, thriving Tarrant County as we go forward. Thank you for these men and women here, giving of their time, their energy, Lord, giving so much to go to the greater good here. And I pray that you'd work through them. I pray that you would quicken their minds, soften their hearts, have them come together with robust dialogue and with compassion and mutual respect, that there may be a great meeting ahead and a great season ahead as we venture forward together. Pray for a grassroots swell, that every citizen would take ownership of that citizenship and make his contribution, make her mark, that we may just grow up and go forward stronger and bolder together. And Lord, you know my prayer is that your glory would abound throughout this land. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have several announcements for you this morning. The first one deals with purchasing, item 9L9. This is RFP number 2008-020. We're going to ask that we hold that for one additional week, and we'll be bringing it back next week for your consideration. Also, members of the Court, we're going to take the agenda somewhat out of order today. When we get to the administrator section, we will move to the briefing part of the agenda so that we can receive a briefing from the NTTA. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of September the 14th.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Barney, you need to put your line. Unanimously. We have one proclamation, and that is for ratification. That's on Family Day, a day to eat dinner with your children, and I'll move its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just amen.
Amen. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have two public hearings today, both from the Transportation Services area. Ms. Lamb, come down, please.
Thank you, Judge. I'm here today to request that Commissioners Court conduct a public hearing to consider the placement of a stop sign at the intersection of Carter and Briar Road located in Precinct 4. We have received a request from the citizens for this stop sign, and our county engineer has evaluated and recommends its installation.
This is a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here to speak to this, speak for this or against this today. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next.
Second public hearing today is a similar request for the installation of a stop sign. It's actually an all-way, four-way stop sign at the intersection of Liberty School Road and Peden Road, also located in Precinct 4. We've had several complaints and several accidents at this intersection. It's currently a two-way stop, and county engineers recommend the placement of an all-way stop sign all-way stop condition at this intersection.
I will open the public hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to this matter. Chief Knowles, are you wanting to? There being no one, then I'll close the public hearing.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we can now go to the briefing items and take up item B, which is a presentation concerning the North Texas Tollway Authority. I'd like to introduce Mr. Ken Barr, who is the county's one of the county's appointees to the NTTA board. Mayor Barr.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Judge, members of the court. Good morning. Appreciate a chance to be here this morning with you.
Better here than in the other place down there?
Better than some other commissioners' courts around the state. So appreciate the way you do business here. I came here this morning thinking I was going to get to sit on the back row and listen to others make this presentation. I got here and found out that our chairman, Paul Wageman, is ill today and will not be here. And my fellow Tarrant County appointee, Victor Vandegrift, is tied up elsewhere on the public's business, and so he's not here either. But it's a privilege to be here as we come to present our annual report from the NTTA on the state of the authority, to give you a briefing. And so on behalf of the North Texas Tollway Authority Board of Directors, I want to thank you for your support over the past year as we push forward with the numerous projects that we're working on, including preparations for the Southwest Parkway, Chisholm Trail Parkway project, which despite continued economic challenges for our region, and we are advancing and moving forward on that project. Alongside partners like Tarrant County, we are working with the region in our shared vision of meeting the mobility needs of North Texas. And although economic times remain uncertain, and the NTTA remains steadfast in its commitment to work collaboratively to meet the region's expectations. Probably be easier to read this if I put my glasses on, Judge.
Sure would be for me.
As you will hear this morning, our system is sound and prepared to meet the region's transportation challenges now and in the future. We've made strides on a number of fronts, from construction to safety enhancements. To ensure our success going forward, the NTTA has developed a 5-year capital plan to prepare for the long-term financial needs of the authority. At the same time, we are managing through what we've called our pinch point, our narrow point that will occur in 2013 when our debt service requirements and our revenues come very, very close together. This plan firmly positions the authority to meet its commitments and to manage regional expectations, and we think it's a solid game plan for us to operate on over the next few years. I want to thank the court for the support we received from all of you and for your leadership, this court's and Judge Whitley's leadership on transportation in this region. As partners, we've worked together to pursue regional mobility solutions. We appreciate the time and effort you've put toward achieving our common goals. Together, we've made tremendous strides. The partnership hasn't always been easy, but the fruits are valuable and abundant. This morning, our Executive Director, Alan Clemson, is here, and he's going to provide the court with a full report, including an update on the Tarrant County projects. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to make this presentation.
We appreciate all the time that you invest in that, and I have met with Chairman Wageman and told him how much we appreciate the service he's given. And I know Victor, you said, I'm sure he's serving more public time. I'm wondering if his company ever wonders if he spends any time on their business. we appreciate everything and all the time you give to this.
Very good. I might say that Mr. Wageman, as I think everyone knows, will be leaving the NTTA board at the end of this month, and he served there for 10 years, and he's provided great leadership to NTTA, but also to the entire region. We, from NTTA's perspective, I think he's done an outstanding job, and we very much appreciate that. He will be missed, no doubt about it. I will, in asking Mr. Clemson to come up here, I will also tell you that Alan has now been in the job, 14 months? 15, about 14, 15 months, and has truly brought this agency a great distance during his time there. We've accomplished many significant things during his tenure. The operation is smoothed out. You can see it throughout our operations. We've had some very difficult challenges on negotiations during the year, and financial issues and other things, but it's really come together. And sitting there as a board member, I have a lot of confidence in his leadership and what's going on at NTTA right now. So I really appreciate that.
Mayor Barr, is Mr. Clemson going to cover the issue of diversity within the contracting authority of the NTTA?
Yes.
In particular, the decision that was taken recently to maintain the relationships with those legacy firms that have been with the NTTA since its inception. There has been great discussion about that throughout the North Texas community, and I would like to urge that since the decision has been taken to continue the relationship with all of those firms, that all of those firms be encouraged by the NTTA board and management to reach out to minority firms to give them opportunities to be mentored, to increase their capacity to do work, to expand the scope of those who are contracting with the NTTA, so that we can truly have an organization that reflects the North Texas community.
Commissioner, I appreciate the fact that you're bringing this up, and Mr. Clemson, I'm sure, will address this to some degree, but we stand ready either today or at any other time to meet with you and other members of the court to address this. I will say that MWBE opportunities, diversity opportunities have come to be of great importance at our board table. And through the years, it had probably not had the attention these issues should have had. The decision to renew or to not replace a number of our vendors is, in my opinion, a temporary decision in the sense that we will go forward with making some changes and certainly reviewing those relationships in the coming months. We started down a path without the board giving as much consideration to the ramifications of what was happening as we should have. We have more than $2 billion worth of projects under construction now. It did not make sense to make wholesale changes in service providers and vendors and consultants that was proposed, and the board stopped and said, wait a minute, this isn't a good path, and we need to put some more effort into it. That's what the board is doing, and I'm confident that we will continue to address the diversity opportunities. And I especially heard you mention mentoring, and I think that's a strategy that we're already talking to some of our vendors and consultants about.
And I will say also that I've had a conversation about this matter also with Victor, and he remains committed to looking at this in the near term versus in the long term. So I think there will be some, additional action taken in that regard from that standpoint.
I hear you that the board did what it did for continuity reasons, that it is perhaps a short-term strategy, temporary strategy, I believe was your phraseology. Even more important then, that during that temporary period, some outreach be done to some firms that could be gotten ready to compete when those contracts do come up.
To my personal knowledge, that has already happened. I
Thank you.
think it will continue, and it will be encouraged by the board.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from longtime Tarrant County resident, lifelong Tarrant County resident, former Dallas County administrator, and glad to be where he is today.
Good morning. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
I'm glad you're still glad.
I'm still glad. For the record, I'm Alan Clemson, and I'm proud to serve you as Executive Director of the North Texas Tollway in so many ways. I'm so proud to serve you. I know you're short for time this morning, so I want to move through very quickly, appreciating the comments that Commissioner Brooks made, and we'll try to address everybody's concerns. We want to start with our revenue. This is a report on 2009. A lot of the issues that we've heard this morning are 2010, and I don't have all the detail you want on that, but I will certainly be back to get that. In 2009, our revenue was $321 million, and we estimate that in 2010 we'll have $410 million. The majority is coming from toll collections, cash collections, toll tag, zip cash. The remaining other revenues are statement fees, administrative fees, and then our interoperability fees with DFW, Love Field, and by the way, DFW, our relationship with them is having a tremendous impact on toll tag penetration in Tarrant County. It's been a win-win situation to get your citizens toll tags or give them motivation, so when we do open the Southwest Parkway, they'll be ready to go. The 29 budget versus actual, you'll see that we have, in our trust agreement, stipulates that we must maintain a debt coverage ratio of 1.35 on our first-tier bonds, 1.2 on our second tier, and 1 for our third and overall tier. We exceed their requirements of the trust. In 2009, our debt coverage was over 1.5. The 2010 budget compared to 2009, you'll see that we do have significant estimated revenue increases. We have operating budget increase that's solely attributed to increased capacity. It's solely directed to more lane miles and more service delivered. This is the issue that Director Barr was bringing, the NTTA debt service compared to revenue. The green line is our revenue. The bars are our consolidated debt. And you can see in each and every year we exceed debt. What's not shown here is our reserve maintenance fund and our capital improvement fund. So while you see a gap, that gap is narrower than it appears to be. 2013 in 14 will be our closest years. The 5-year capital plan gives us the ability to look out and to manage to that. We're going to stage, phase, delay construction improvements to make sure that that gap stays in the position where we can maintain our debt coverage. We know what it is. We're going to manage to it. The 5-year plan has received a lot of attention from the board. It does take our current year budget expenditures and revenues, and it lays out an estimate for the following years. And every year this will be updated. It'll be provided to you, and you can then have your people or take the time yourself to look at it to see if we're on track and if we're meeting our commitments that we've made to you. In 2009, we issued $1.5 billion in debt. The most of interest to Tarrant County is the 2010A and 2010B debt. This $400 million makes 161 and Southwest Parkway possible, and that comes from the system. That comes from our other products that are generating excess revenue, and basically takes all the excess revenue that above reserves, above contingencies and such. It doesn't put us in a financially strapped situation. It's been reported, but it is a challenge for us to provide that to these projects, but our board is pleased to do so. Cashless tolling, this will be a remarkable part of the Southwest Parkway Chisholm Trail, and it's a highly successful issue that we're putting on all of our roads. It increases mobility, it increases safety, it increases air quality, and we are refining and developing that every day. 92% of our people pay their toll. Our invoicing process, our success rate on collection is improving each and every day. The action plans that we have going forward, legislation, the biggest part of our legislative program is the right of first option. It used to be called primacy, but we've rebranded that to first option. We think local toll authorities ought to have first option. We're here, we're the regional provider, but we think we ought to have it not indefinitely, but on a specific project for a specific period of time. We'll be back to you to show you some suggested language that we think may be introduced as legislation this year. The other three items we have are relating to conflicts of interest, audit papers, and are not really as interesting. Administrative fees have been discussed in the media, have been described as exorbitant. We have found that we are getting a tremendous response and interest of people wanting to pay their tolls. And the number of complaints on administrative fees have gone from 200 a week to 20 a week. So we're finding the acceptance of it. Our complaints and issues have dropped. We explain it better. We refine the process. It's not as good as it needs to be, but it's better. People are interested in paying their tolls today. Rental cars are a very small piece of our business. They're 1/10 of 1%. The complexity and the complaints we get from that is we have to, by law, send the invoice to the owner of the vehicle, which will be the rental car agency. And how they handle those bills is not consistent. So when you rent a car from one agency to another, it's handled differently. We're working with associations and our partners with the rental car companies to try to come up with a better solution. Business diversity, we show you the 2008 compared to 2009 in all three of our areas our program areas. We know we're making progress. We know we're pushing mentoring. We have what we call our roads program, and we have matched up numerous vendors with our prime contractors where they are mentoring, sponsoring, developing long-term relationships, and we'll continue to do that. We've had tremendous outreach in Tarrant County as we go forward on Southwest Parkway Chisholm Trail, and we will provide information to this body to clearly show you those accomplishments. The issue that came up as far as the legacy contractors are providing a meaningful amount of participation in their contracts. We'll be reviewing those contracts to the board, and as they go forward, they will be refined, and the minority participation will be singled out and will be clearly available for everybody to see. And regardless if it's going to be a legacy contractor or a different contractor, it'll be a meaningful participation. We're finding an extreme willingness of these vendors to support us in this matter, and we don't see this being a problem as we go forward.
I just want to say that in general, vendors will do what they're required to do, especially if it does not cause any increase in price, which diversity programs typically do not.
We're seeing very responsive vendors. I think the issue, if they want as few items on the table to keep their contracts, to bring attention to renewing a contract. So they're being very responsive. And our commitment to our board, and our board's issue is that we support minority participation. We're going to continue with, just as you said, and it will not increase the cost of us doing business.
Typically, it does not.
Right, absolutely. Right now, we're working, and we're either operating, designing, building, developing, planning toll projects in all of our sponsoring counties, as well as Johnson and Grayson counties. To get down to the areas of most exciting for Tarrant County is the Southwest Parkway Chisholm Trail. We are aggressively bidding out all aspects of that project. We will be making contract awards contingent upon financial closure, and all those will be awarded right after the first of the year with an estimated completion date of 2013. We've already awarded, designated, we haven't awarded some of our construction management firms. And we're very excited as our financial close approaches. This week we'll have critical meetings in Washington with our TIFIA loan. We'll go to TIFIA credit on the 27th. All indications, I have to compliment TxDOT. They've worked with us very well on trying to secure this loan, and they've supported us. They're going to be with us on the 22nd on a conference, on submission of documents. They're going to be with us on the 23rd as we have a conference call to final all the outstanding issues, and they'll be with us on the 27th at the credit committee. Once that happens, we'll do financial close on this project right after the first of the year. We continue to do planning on Southwest Park, on State Highway 360. We've had many various meetings and discussions, and I think that we'll be back before meeting with this board on discussions of those after the NTTA Board of Directors gets a chance to review some of the financial issues on that project. 170 continues to, we have user groups. We're doing environmental and planning on that. It's community involvement in the Northwest right now is not quite as robust as it is on 360, but those roads are coming along fairly close together. Service our customers, safety first. We spend a lot of time and money on to make sure that our roads are clear and open and our passengers are safe. Part of this is our concern for our customers, but part of it is revenue. If we have things on our roads or if we have cars broken on our roads, we see a decline in revenue as it creates congestion. So we're very present about that. Saying all these things, we appreciate the time. I had a long list of accolades to tell you today about Director and Chairman Wageman, but he's not here, so I'll kind of save those to some other time.
Alan, we appreciate you, and thank you for coming and giving us this presentation today. And again, we want to thank you for everything you do for us on that.
Thank you. And if you need us, just call us.
Thank you, Alan, and Mayor Bond.
Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, now we could return to the administrator's section. If we can go to item number 1. We have a presentation for you this morning by First Southwest. Obviously, this is a time of the year, we didn't do it last year, but we're doing it this year, where we're going to be selling debt to do really two things: to continue our 2006 bond program and also to do some refinancing. And I'm going to ask Mr. David Mednich to come before you now and talk to you about this particular process. David?
Thank you, Mr. Manius. We also have in attendance, we have Laura Alexander and Keith Curvin. Raise your hands from First Southwest. Renee Higginbotham Brooks, a special counsel, and then Dan Settle, bond counsel to the county. I believe each one of you, I hope each one of you has this in front of you. If you'll turn to the front cover, behind it's $70,045,000 limited tax refunding and improvement bonds. You notice behind tab A we have our reports from Moody's and Standard & Poor's. I could go through those, but you're AAA by both. It's the best rating you can get, and you have a stable from both and nothing but accolades from the meetings with the rating agencies. So that's something, again, to be extremely proud of. If you turn to tab B, you'll see that we have a $70,045,000 issue. Of that, about $62 million is for construction. The remainder of it is for refunding. You notice the interest rate on the bottom is at 3.32%, which is exceptionally favorable. In a minute, I'll show you how favorable it is. Then if you'll turn to the next page, page 2, this is a portion of this bond issue that's the $15.6 million are the bonds that we refunded. And you can see they range from rates of 4.125 to 5%. And so when you refund them at 3.25%, you can see where the savings come in. And then if you turn to the next page, you'll see that the savings to the county is $1.43 million, or 7.7% on a present value basis, which may not mean a lot to you, the PV, but we try to get at least 3%, so the 7.76 is very, very good. And if you turn over to tab C, as I was alluding to a moment ago, you'll see that actually this is the lowest the county has borrowed at since I can recall, or since I've been around, which is a long time. And if you look at, there's a couple of rates in here that you see that are a little bit lower, but those are for 4- and 5-year bond issues. This is a 20-year bond issue. So the 3.32 is the lowest interest rate that you've received on a bond issue of 20 years. The last, you notice we got a 3.78 on a 4-year deal back in '06, so you can see how the rates have improved dramatically. And of course, a lot of that, or a big part of that, has to do with the AAA ratings from both Moody's and S&P, and so you get a very, very favorable response from the market. If you turn to tab D.
David, let me ask a question. I mean, on these issues, help me, are we refunding, what year was that we're refunding?
We are refunding the Series 2002 bonds, and we're refunding the 2013 through 2022 maturities, which are the callable portion of that bond issue.
These other bonds that we have up here are like I guess the 2005 and some of those. Have we looked at refunding those, or?
We've looked at everything that's available, and that was part of this, and these are the bonds that made sense to refund.
Okay.
And then if you'll turn to tab D, which is the last tab, you'll see this is the document that's used to market the bonds. It has all the pertinent information that an investor would need to make a decision to purchase the bonds. As you'll see, the group that led this is J.P. Morgan with Siebert, Branford, and Estrada Hinojosa. They did a very good job. The bonds were priced and awarded yesterday. Yesterday. And so if it meets with your approval, it is our recommendation that you award the bonds to the group led by J.P. Morgan, which included Siebert, Bradford, and Estrada, at a rate of 3.32%. Mr. Settle, have I missed anything?
Not at all. The motion, I believe, is on there too, to approve the bond performance.
And I'm going to ask, I mean, I probably should have gone ahead. Tell me why, in the consideration, why wouldn't, is it because of prepayment or call provisions that we wouldn't be, for example, refunding the August 28, 07, whatever's left?
We can only refund callable bonds, and so the bonds in that maturity, and we've looked at the bonds, we've refunded bonds in the past with favorable maturities, but the only bonds really subject to refunding that made any sense at all were the 2013 to the 22s.
Okay.
That,
so each year we'll look at that again and determine
Absolutely.
whether or not they're
absolutely.
callable bonds that we could look at that time.
As you get closer to the call dates, it makes a lot more sense. When you get too far out, the escrows, you get negative arbitrage in the escrows. They're just not as cost effective.
Okay.
I've got a question. Why don't we rotate ever our underwriting groups such that a firm like Siebert Branford, for instance, which is in the top 5 senior managers of public issues in the country, gets to senior manage some of our issues?
Mr. Brooks, we can rotate however you would like us to rotate.
This is something that I've talked about for years, and it always comes back the same way.
What are the fees any different?
No.
No. I mean, you've got in J.P. Morgan, you've got one of the largest underwriters in the country. They have a very strong presence in Tarrant County, one of the largest employers in Tarrant County, and they've also, on past issues, they've bid on competitive sales, and that's been the consideration. We're more than happy to go through at the next bond sale and go through a different analysis, however you guys would like us to do it.
Probably something we should look at, but certainly I think, at least from my perspective, somebody who has a presence here, somebody who's competitive, somebody who's working with us on other things, that's important factors to consider as we go forward.
Well, all of those things describe Siebert Branford as well as Chase.
I think we need to look at it next time.
That's fine.
Thank you, sir.
This time, members of the court, we're requesting that the court adopt an order which authorizes the issuance of Tarrant County, Texas Limited Tax Refunding and Improvement Bond, Series 2010, specifying the terms and features of said bonds, levying a continuing direct annual ad valorem tax for the payment of said bonds, and restoring other matters, and resolving other matters incident and related to the issuance, sale, payment, and delivery of said bonds, including the approval and execution of a purchase contract and an escrow agreement, and the approval and distribution of the official statement.
I make a motion to that effect.
Second. A motion is second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, if we could go to item number 2, we're requesting that the Commissioners' Court approve Amendment number 1 to the participation agreement between the City of Arlington and Tarrant County for Arlington Tax Increment Financing Zone number 6, which is the Viridian TIF, providing for modification of wording related to limitation of tax increment deposits and use of funds, and also to approve a recommendation to the hospital district to provide for a similar modification to the participation agreement to said TIF. What this is basically is that there was some minor corrective wording. We've already approved this at one time. Bond counsel for Arlington and for the developers had requested a minor change in wording. It is not of any significance, but they were insistent upon it. Staff looked at it. We also reviewed it with the hospital district. Hospital district has already approved this. We're requesting your approval also at this time.
Move approval.
A second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Finally, members of the court, if we could go to item number 3, we're requesting that the court approve the reappointment of Dr. Sandra K. Parker as the Tarrant County Health Authority.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Ms. Snyder.
Risk Management Board is recommending the payment of 3 claims. They're listed on your agenda. Eric Gonzalez, Patty Dougherty, Encore Electric, John Wilson, and Daniel Wilson. The amount shown.
That's 4 claims.
It is 4 claims. One had 2. That was sneaky, huh?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Marvin, before or after closed? I guess before. Come on down.
Members of the court, we have 3 subrogation checks to present to the court this morning for approval. These are from automobile accidents. They each represent full recovery, $42.11, $189.30, and $179.90, and ask that the court accept these subrogation recovery checks.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Glenn?
Move approval to receive and file the personnel agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have 3 additional items. Item number 2, we're asking the court to approve flu vaccines for Tarrant County employees. This year, as in prior years, we're asking that employees pay no cost or have no cost for the flu vaccine. The impact to the wellness budget will be a little bit more than $22,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Question. The cost for dependents would be what?
There is a cost for dependents. I think in the last couple of years, that's been around $20. We're in the process.
It's not going up. It isn't.
Pardon?
Is it going up?
No, I don't believe we're anticipating an increase.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3, we're asking the court to approve a waiver of paternal benefits for elections administrations. The operations manager is retiring at the end of this month with 268 vacation hours. The fiscal impact to the general fund will be approximately $9,300, excluding fringe benefits.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our final item, we're asking the court to approve a career path policy for the Criminal District Attorney's Office. This is our attempt to formalize a policy. We are asking that the court approve this policy effective 10/1, and the district attorney is in agreement with this policy.
I will move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Brewer. Good morning.
Public Health has one item for your approval. This is interim financing for fiscal year 2011. This is for Refugee Health Screening, Advanced Practice Center, and Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC. We have one outstanding interim financing, and we did receive the contract. We just had to get the verbiage correct. So that's the only outstanding one at this point.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Beecham.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 4 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for our RFP, number 2010-103. This is an RFP for a digital asset management system for storing digital photographs, videos, and other digital media for the medical examiner's office. The recommendation would be toward the Linear Systems, the amount of $44,810.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 2 is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2010-112. This is our annual contract for photographic supplies and videotapes for use countywide. A recommendation would be toward a per enterprise basis, awarding to the 11 vendors as shown in your court communique.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 3 is also a bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-117, concerning a contract for MapSco street guides and directories. Recommendation would be toward a per enterprise basis, awarding to primary and secondary vendors as shown in your court communique.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Does this include the online version as well? Can we get the online version?
We don't buy a lot of these. The online version, I believe, is available. Primarily, these are used by the sheriff's office in certain consuls. The spend last year was about $8,000, not a lot of money. Okay. We make them available. I guess the online is available. We have the contract in place for those that need it.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our last item is an item in regards to RFP number 2010-106. This is an RFP for an inventory management system for the Public Health Department. We are recommending rejection of all proposals that we received this morning. About the time this RFP was received, it was determined that this could be handled, it's a grant-funded project that it could be handled internally with IT, and we talked about that at the IT Steering Committee meeting, and they are prepared to do that at this point in time.
Move approval of rejecting all bids.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jack.
Members of the court, on that particular item, we are going to be using the SAP product to perform that task.
Okay. Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have an item on the agenda.
I do. I move approval of item 901A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson?
I'll move approval of item 902A and B.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any appointments? Being none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims and the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the claims, including the addendum. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, any additional briefing items, Mr. Manius?
Not at this time, Your Honor. On item A, the hospital district update, Mr. Early will be in court next week to make that presentation.
Okay. Commissioners Court will now recess the open session and proceed to closed session to discuss items exempted under sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code.
Having completed our closed-door session, we have no more business to conduct before this court. We are adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.